Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we are back on the Flex Network. Well, I should say me. I am back on the Flex Network with the List Show. And normally, if you're tuning in on a Tuesday show, yes, I've been late on the recent shows. I'm sorry. We've been having bugs, technical issues, and personal, lives have got to go on. So unfortunately, we were not able to have the show for the last several weeks, but I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But we're back with the show. We're in the final home stretch. We're in the final three. And before we get too far going, I got to get this, watch out, Blue Hoodie Matt. We are live. Yes, we're live. It is the List Show, and boy, oh boy, have we got a heck of a good show for you today, because we're going to go all the way back to the 2001, and we're going to talk a little bit about Kurt Angle's not one, not two, but three trifecta match night that he had at the King of the Ring in his quest to become a not one, but a two-time King of the Ring, champion of the world. And man, and look at, we're already getting comments of, shh, dude. Yeah. A little hyped up here, so I gotta turn it down for you guys just a bit. But dang, it's been a while, guys. So we're just gonna get this rolling. And you know what? What's even been a little bit more fun is on this recent update with what we're using. We have a new tool at our disposal. Look down. Oh, we have a roaming banner. Yes, if you've been following on, StreamYard, you've been seeing that they have a new update for their services, and we got a new toy down there. And it might as well get a little use out of this. So, let's get into this. And you know what? I'm feeling a little bit of Shane O'Mac today, because we're going to also talk about in this stream on Kurt Angle's Trifecta night at King of the Ring 2001. We're going to talk about the street fight between Shane O'Mac and Kurt Angle. So this is going to get fun. And I might have a bonus for you at the end of this, little thing. So I might have a little extra for you guys, a little extra nuance about something else that was happening at King of the Ring 2001, because this was a real changing moment, changing pay-per-view for a lot of reasons in 2001. So let's get into the show, shall we? And we're going to start back in May of 2001, May 20th, 2001, with at Judgment Day 2001 between Chris Benoit and Kurt Angle. And this is their finishing aspect of what was to come of their rivalry in 2001. They had a 2 out of 3 falls match for, a lot, for something that you would generally wouldn't think would be happening in 2001. Maybe a little bit later, if you watched Kurt Angle in TNA and you saw what, he had to put up on the line. But for 2001, you never really saw this. But we got to see a 2 out of 3 falls match. In the first fall between Benoit and Angle, we had a straight up wrestling match. Just straight up. Fall 2 was a submission match. And if it went to a third fall, we had a ladder match. Now, you kind of got to be thinking, well, a ladder match, well, what are they going to be putting on the line? I mean, Kurt Angle wasn't a champion at that time. Chris Benoit wasn't a champion at that time because you had Stone Cold as the WWF champion. You had and one half of the tag team champions. You had Triple H as the Intercontinental champion and half of the tag team champs. You had William Regal, or sorry, Chris Jericho. No. Correct. I had to correct myself on that. You had Eddie Guerrero as European champion at that time. So there really wasn't any, and the hardcore title was with Kane, with Big Show and Kane and Rhino. So it was getting mixed, and it wasn't Benoit or Kurt Angle's cup of tea at that time. So we got to think, what's got to be on the line in this third fall? Let's see. It wasn't for a contract, for a title shot. That'd be something else, something of importance, something of high value to one person. The only thing that was valuable for, maybe Kurt Angle at that time was, he had some Olympic gold medals that were stolen by the Rabid Wolverine, and they were kind of being kept in a very safe place. If you know your wrestling, if you go back and watch this build-up between these guys, between Chris Benoit and Kurt Angle, Benoit kind of stole the medals, and, well, let's just say they were nice and warm, and where the family jewels are nice and toasty every time. Hey-oh. So, third fall ladder match for Olympic gold medalists. Olympic gold medals. You gotta get my wording right. But, so this match was a hell of a good match. Benoit wins the first fall straight up. Kurt Angle evens it up in the submission match, makes Benoit tap out. We get to the third fall, and Kurt Angle gets the win, gets his gold medals back, even kisses his medals, knowing where they've been for the last several weeks. And he didn't care. He got his gold medals back. And that was essentially Judgment Day 2001 for Mr. Kurt Angle. But we're not done yet with Kurt Angle, because he's so feeling giddy and so celebratory that he's going to have a celebration for himself on the next night on Raw, May 21st, 2001. And Kurt Angle, who obviously around this time was so high-horsed and, high on his horse and wanting to just celebrate everything that ever happened to him that was good, decided he wants to reenact his Olympic ceremony. And so he decides he's going to come out he has a podium set up in the ring, American flag, and red, white, and blue confetti thrown, throughout the arena, just floating down. He's celebrating, his music playing, American anthems playing, just so happy and crying. And then all of a sudden, we get, here comes the money. Shane O'Mac making his return to TV at the time, because he was taking some time off from the previous month's pay-per-view from Backlash, which he kind of needed and deserved after facing the Big Show in a last man standing match. And you kind of may have seen the gif of this, but if you haven't, this match was crazy as hell, to the point Test interfered and helped his buddy Shane McMahon, and Shane delivering a death-defying elbow drop. The first time he did the elbow drop, the death-defying elbow drop from the Titantron through Big Show on this pallet, wooden pallet area, where you just see Shane McMahon's like, no, no, then fuck, heck it, and just drops the elbow on to the Big Show, and Test helps him, props him up on this camera pole. Let me actually, I have someone have a prop here that would prop him up on something like this where a camera would normally be, just hung him over to where Shane's feet he's hanging, but his feet are just touching the ground. And we get Shane McMahon wins at Backlash in a last man standing match against Big Show. That was crazy. So we get to see Shane McMahon come back, make his return after about a month off. Maybe making some deals behind the scenes as he's now the owner of WCW. And, well, he's, coming out to announce that WCW's on the comeback. And he's, gonna mock Kurt Angle's little celebration about how he reclaimed his Olympic gold medals, and it's like proceeding to like, Kurt, you have your 3 eyes. Well, I've got 3 letters for you, WCW, and the first W is world. It proceeds to like just spell out, it's WCW. W is for world, C is for championship, and the other W's for wrestling, which obviously you're good, very good at. But in your case, it's not like what you're acting like is wussy. And Shane, who's up on the top pedestal now that he's been, just slowly making his way up just to piss Kurt Angle off. Kurt, after hearing the wussy part of, that little promo, decides to get up on the top of the podium, and Angle slam him right off into the confetti onto the mat, and was so entertaining. After this, Vince, we go to commercial, and Vince has Shane thrown out of the building. Granted, he is WCW and this is a WWF event. Well, Vince wants to reward Kurt Angle and, to smooth over the fact that Shane interfered in his celebration. And he gives Kurt Angle an opportunity against the Intercontinental Champion for the title that night against Kane. And the match itself was very good. Was a very good match between Kane and Kurt Angle. Another, ambiance of their rivalry, or that they've had, off and on. We would see it again in 2002 at WrestleMania, with Kurt Angle and Kane going 1-on-1. But it's not a rivalry, I would say, but it was just they would meet up every so often. And Kurt Angle, of course, being Kurt, this close to victory, Shane McMahon comes in, interferes, attacks Kurt, and gets chokeslammed by Kane, and Kane retains the IC title. So you gotta think Kurt Angle's pissed, to the degree. And I've already gotten another comment. Mr. Matt Beck is loving this. He knows that this show, is giving you good one. And wait, Matt. Okay, Matt, Blue Hoodie Matt, I know you like to message out from behind me that you love it, but come on. I know I haven't seen you in a while, but whatever. Thanks, my Blue Hood Matt. You liking the show? You get me some loving. Just want Thanks, man. It's been a while since I've had a good conversation with you, and you've been contributing to the show. But back to reality of what was going on in 2001. So, Shane McMahon cost Kurt Angle the IC title on Raw. Next on the next show, SmackDown on the 24th of May. Kurt's looking for Shane and doesn't really find him. Looks up and down the entire building. It's not really something to really talk about getting too deep. Runs into Molly Holly, asks and bullies her into helping her find Shane McMahon. Spike comes in to save the day. I'm trying to find a word how to describe this, but essentially bucks up to Kurt Angle, challenges him to a match, and Kurt Angle beats Spike Dudley for his trouble of trying to, stand up to Kurt Angle for his girlfriend's honor. It was okay match, but not really, highlighted about this whole rivalry. So, move down the line to the next week's SmackDown, where Kurt Angle's going to take on Chris Jericho one-on-one. Jericho picks up the victory after Shane McMahon and Spike Dudley interfere and distract. Not only Shane McMahon interferes, gets separated by referees, and Kurt Angle gets pulled apart by referees, but while all the refs were looking at Shane McMahon, Spike Dudley comes in to get some revenge from the previous week and how he's been talking about his girlfriend Molly and how he treated him the previous week. Dudley dogs him, and Chris Jericho gets the victory on the Olympic gold medalist. After the match, Kurt Angle's in this fit of rage, just is like, goes into Commissioner Regal's office and demands a match for King of the Ring between him and Shane McMahon. He wants a match between Shane McMahon and himself one-on-one. And Commish, is going to say, I will try to get him to, I'll try to get him to say yes to the match. I'll try to get that match signed. It's like, okay. And then we get into June. Yeah, that month is the month of the King of the Ring tournament, where in past years we would have a 16-man tournament, a 32-man tournament. But that year, we just had I'm going to say, let me bring up my bracket of this lovely King of the Ring tournament. We just had a 2, 4, 6. This year we had a 16-man tournament. So we had some good names in this tournament. Good names. Let's just run down. Kurt Angle, Hardcore Holly, the Hardy Brothers, Christian, Kane, Big Show, Raven, Edge, Test, Lethal Weapon, Steve Blackman, Perry Saturn, Crash Holly, Tajiri, Rhino, and Taz. So it really wasn't as much as a past King of the Rings where you knew we're going to get big names in the tournament. Like the previous year, we had Chris Benoit, we had Jericho in the tournament. Rikishi was in it. Kurt Angle, of course. We had Boss Man, the Dudleys. We had Shane, Scotty. Just a lot of versatility, from the previous year with I want to say it was a 32-man tournament. I'm just getting my facts straight. Yeah, 32-year tournament on the 2000 King of the Ring, but the 2001 was essentially a 16-man tournament. So it was a shortened down tournament this year because there were more matches this year on the card, and they just went through on qualifiers on TV. So, but for Kurt Angle, his first round match was on SmackDown on June 7th, and this was a good opening round match for Kurt Angle to get warmed up, as he wasn't initially part of the King of the Ring until he talked to Commissioner Regal. It's like, one night I'm gonna beat Shane McMahon and repeat as King of the Ring, champion. It's like, oh, you want to be in the King of the Ring tournament? It's like, yeah, I'm the reigning King of the Ring winner. I need to defend my crown. It's like, okay, you could be in the King of the Ring tournament. So he had his first match on June 7th, 2001 on SmackDown against Hardcore Holly. And that was a good match for him, a quick 6-minute match for him to get him going into this tournament. First round match. So I highly recommend you guys go and check out the King of the Ring tournament qualifying matches. Actually, just check out the whole tournament itself, as it was King of the Ring's always been a good, stomping ground for good match, some good matches, maybe some highlighted matches in this tournament. So I hope you guys go and check this out on the network or YouTube, but just in general, just go and rewatch the King of the Ring tournament, or 2001 is a hell of a good pay-per-view. So we move on to Raw, June 11th. Kurt Angle is going to come out, cut a promo on Richmond, Virginia, of how he hates being there, and with the facing, and even talk about how he is going to face Chris Benoit one more time inside of a 15-foot high steel cage. Now I'm going to say this now: be paying attention to what happens in this area, because this is going to come up a little bit later for a very special little extra ambiance for you guys on this show, just to make up for the previous, missing out on the last couple of weeks with you guys. I'm going to give you some bonus. I'm going to give you guys bonus action, bonus content for you guys to go out and watch. A bonus rivalry between the main event players for this pay-per-view, because this is, normally I would talk about the main event as part of my list, but the feeling with the Shane McMahon versus Kurt Angle, Kurt Angle's night at King of the Ring 2001 had to be on the list. So I'm going to give you guys extra content at the end, so I hope you guys stick around for that. But we get Chris Benoit versus Kurt Angle one more time on Raw, June 11th, 2001. And this cage match was, actually, before I get to the cage match, Kurt Angle is talking about this cage match and wants Shane McMahon to come out and attack him. It's like, hey, don't be a puss, or don't be a man and attack. Come out me, face to face. Don't hop through the crowd and attack me from behind. Be a man and come face me one-on-one. Well, he thinks he's going to get Shane McMahon, but instead he gets the Undertaker. And Undertaker, at this point, in June-ish, he is pissed. He is pissed off because someone is stalking his then-wife, Sarah. And we will find that out later, as we get close to King of the Ring. But, we kind of know who it is. Yeah. So he's pissed. It's like, hey, I know. Undertaker comes out. It's like, hey, I know you've, past history. You got a thing for messing with people's wives. So what's your story? Are you stalking my wife? Spill it. It's like, hey, It's like, hey, and Kurt, of course, puts his foot in his mouth like he always does. It's like, hey, well, I'm sorry that I have nothing to do with what's going on in with your wife or anything. I mean, heck, I met your wife once. I didn't even find she was attractive. Really, Kurt? You're going to say that to a pissed off Undertaker who is emotionally ready to kick anyone's butt who even says his wife's name or even thinks about doing something with, that name. And so Kurt gets chokeslam, beaten up. And while Kurt's getting back up, we get Shane McMahon, who, again, through the crowd, sneak attacks up on Kurt Angle. And not only that, gets Angle slammed just for the trouble. And Shane, doing Kurt Angle's little, jumping around, a little move, which was awesome as heck. And of course, while this is going on, Shane at this point is now, starting to do his invasion stuff. Maybe like with Lance Storm coming in, who's WCW at that, maybe Booker T, stuff like that. He's starting to get trying to get his WCW message across. So we get to the cage match as the main event between Chris Benoit and Kurt Angle. And I highly recommend you guys go and check out this cage match. This match was crazy. Kurt Angle doing his top of the rope or top of the cage moonsault, missing completely. Benoit hitting the flying headbutt off the top of the cage and connecting. This was crazy to unbelievably awesome match. One of the top matches of 2001, or top moments for 2001. And this was awesome to see. Unfortunately for the Rabid Wolverine, Chris Benoit, Kurt Angle wins, climbs out of the cage thanks to Austin slamming the door in Benoit's face, knocking him out. And after the match, Austin just goes in and just beats up Benoit, sending a message for later on for their rivalry going into King of the Ring. So that was crazy enough on that Raw on June 11th. We're going to move into June 14th. And where Shane McMahon is going to take on The Undertaker for getting his butt whooped on the previous Raw, one-on-one. And while he's making his way down, Kurt Angle is going to, up the stakes in his match with Shane and proceeds to not only, find out that his match is, he's going to have his match with Shane McMahon at King of the Ring. But he ups it with, I, Kurt Angle, challenge you, Shane McMahon, to a street fight at King of the Ring. So this was added extra fun for this match upcoming at King of the Ring. Undertaker versus Kurt Angle on that SmackDown show. Unfortunately, match ends in DQ. Kurt Angle wins via disqualification thanks to Undertaker using the steel steps on Kurt Angle and knocking him out with, being frustrated with the stalker that's, doing this weird stuff, videotaping his wife and their house, everything. It is just crazy. So that leads us into Kurt's next the quarterfinal matchup for the King of the Ring tournament. Kurt Angle versus Jeff Hardy. Again, this one was a somewhat of a short-ish match with it about a 5-minute match for TV on SmackDown or on Raw between Kurt and Jeff. Kurt moves on in the King of the Ring tournament, which will set up for the pay-per-view itself at King of the Ring. The well, the four amigos, Kurt Angle, Christian, Edge, and Rhino, all meeting in the semifinals to determine the 2001 King of the Ring. So we're just gonna jump right into King of the Ring 2001 on June 24th, and this was one of the best entrances for the King of the Ring to do, with the two Titantron, two video monitors up top, KOR, on the bottom, and these like clear, like white glass, plexiglass type deals, and a big electric chair to symbolize the King of the Ring throne at that time. So if you go back and watch the intro, and the set, it was just awesome, with like the King of the Ring chair. Instead of being all royalty and regally, it's more like an electric chair. One of the best pay-per-views I can remember, with everything going into it, with uh with the invasion upcoming and everything going around that. So that was awesome, of a feel right there, just because this pay-per-view was going to be like the last regular pay-per-view for the year that didn't feel like it was, just a WWF. This was now, for at least for the time being, until we get through to the next year, until December. So again, this was the last regular before we get into the invasion stuff, the invasion pay-per-view, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, Unforgiven, that all, and No Mercy. That was all well endowed of just a great pay-per-view lineup for the invasion. But we get the first semifinal match of the night to kick it off. Kurt Angle versus Christian, and Kurt Angle wins this in about I'm gonna say about an 8-minute match, thanks to a little help. Well, let me a little help from, of all people, Shane O'Mac. Yes, and you can even hear it with Paul Heyman and JR, thinking out loud. It's like, why did Shane McMahon help Kurt Angle advance in the King of the Ring tournament? Is it, just strategy? Is it, maybe it's like just wanted to give him an extra match or something? It's like, yes. You got to think, Kurt Angle's got to wrestle at least 3 times. If he had won his semifinal match, which he just did, he was going to wrestle 3 times. A semifinal, a final in the tournament, in the King of the Ring tournament, and then the street fight between himself and Shane McMahon later in the night, which we did get because Kurt Angle beat Christian to advance into the finals and trying to become a 2-time and back-to-back King of the Ring champion. And obviously, we need a competitor for Kurt Angle to go up against, and we get a heck of a good match between Rhino and Edge. And unfortunately for Rhino, Edge moved on into the finals with Kurt Angle. So, after a little while, maybe some more matches, a tag team title match between the Dudleys, Kane and Spike Dudley. We get the King of the Ring finals. We get Edge versus Kurt Angle 1-on-1, and lo and behold, this was also another great match to go back and watch. Going back and forth, Edge picks up the victory thanks to Shane McMahon, but this time spearing Kurt Angle with a referee knockdown. Shane spears Kurt, Edge is able to get Kurt into the Impaler DDT to pick up the win and become 2001 King of the Ring. And after this, and Shane McMahon's wearing his WCW shirt, just to stick to Kurt, throughout the night, helping him and then screwing him out of becoming a 2-time King of the Ring champion. And of course, Kurt's pissed. He's extremely pissed. Heading into his match later in the night, after a light heavyweight title match, we get the street fight between Shane McMahon and Kurt Angle. Now, this is highly, the biggest bullet point about this whole thing. This match, so epically brutal and crazy. This is why this one match is in the list. I can tell you this because not only are you getting an Olympic gold medalist, you got Shane McMahon, who already in the up until June has been in a street fight with his own father at WrestleMania 17 and won. Has been in a last man standing match the next month against The Big Show and surviving. Now he's going into his third match of 2001 against Kurt Angle in a street fight. This was kind of a year for street fights for Shane McMahon, or just hardcore crazy matches for Shane McMahon. This is what he was building his legacy on, of being so either crazy and doing all these weird crazy spots, or just all these matches that are punishing his body. Because the match at King of the Ring, not only was this match just insane, we had, early in the match we had, some catch-as-can rest style wrestling, just grab mat wrestling. But as it got into it later, we got more, outside the ring. Kurt Angle was already busted above his eyebrow from taking some elbow shots to Shane, so he was even more mad. And we get outside the ring. Shane's diving over the announcers, clotheslining Kurt. We get kendo sticks, we get trash cans, and Shane's doing a shooting star press, onto Kurt Angle, but gets, flats misses and completely just goes through a trash can, impaling it, or going, just crushing it. And then we start getting even more crazy as we're going, up the ramp. Kurt, breaks his tailbone on a suplex on the outside. I want to say he broke his tailbone, but he got the wind knocked out of him. He's got a busted tailbone, so he's not really feeling it now. Now we're getting up to the Titantron, and they're now thinking, okay, Kurt's throwing him into one of the pillars, not hitting him into that. And now we're getting into the really crazy of the belly to belly suplex through to the King of the Ring, like mantle that, the KOR, white glass, plexiglass kind of thing. Belly to belly, doesn't go through. Shane just falls like a ton of bricks. And now he's, got a concussion. Kurt Angle does it again, or on that first one, he didn't have enough because he just, he's hurting. That second one, he puts it all in, and boom, belly to belly through the through the glass, shattering that, and Shane's busted up. Kurt's bleeding on the like on his arms and stuff like that. Crazy moment, and then Kurt goes after Shane, does it again, another belly to belly going on the other side, tossing him, doesn't go through, and then just decides another one, and then just heave ho tosses him through. And you could see that, just that one moment, the him tossing it through on the replay, where you see the KOR and just coming through. It's on the SmackDown 2002 intro that you know if you go back and watch that, like the intro, you see Shane McMahon flying through. That's icon. That was an iconic moment right there of just Shane just getting tossed through that glass and just smacking through. So we're getting into the crazy, we've gone a little bit past into the crazy moments where, so now Shane's getting, carted on to this, I want to say rolling case, so Kurt Angle can bring him back to the ring because Shane's just dead weight. He's not, essentially knocked out, bleeding. And I don't know how these guys are surviving. And we get back to the ring. We get to, Kurt's trying to pin him. 1, 2, doesn't work. Kicks out. We get a little bit more crazy. Shane's on the top, gets placed on the top rope. Kurt goes for a board to put on the top rope, before not start hitting him on the side and just knocking him, and then placing the board on top and then delivering the angle slam from the top rope. Awesome match. Kurt picks up the victory, and it was just too crazy of a match to believe. I really hope you guys go and check that out. That was one of the best matches I've seen. That's why it was on the list, essentially. So, one sec. Man, I'm gonna win. So we're a little thirsty on that for talking for that. But yeah, that was a hell of a good match. I highly recommend you guys go and check that out. But before we get too far gone and we're getting close to the end, but I got bonus content for you guys. And I'm going to talk let me illustrate a little bit about Austin versus Jericho versus Chris Benoit, because this match itself was essentially a game changer in many aspects, because if you go back and watch this, that what happened at 2001 King of the Ring, Benoit, actually, no, I'm going to talk about it when we get to the match. But, so, how do we get to that point with at King of the Ring? Well, May 21st, on Raw, we have a tag team championship match between Stone Cold Triple H versus Benoit and Jericho. Now, this is an important match because this is where Triple H tears his quad during the match while he's breaking up the walls of Jericho on Jericho having it on Austin. Hunter comes in to breaks it up, tears his quad. It was a good match, but up until that point, where he tears his quad, and then Triple H still, wrestling, trying to fight through the pain and try to wrestle, gets put in the walls of Jericho on the announce table, and then still comes into the ring hobbling with a sledgehammer to break up the pin, hits his own partner inadvertently, and just gets taken out. And Jericho and Benoit essentially pick up the victory after this, and they become tag team champions. And Triple H is now gone for the rest of 2001, and a little bit into and right before we head into Royal Rumble, if you know your history. So, and at this point, Austin has gone, I want to say, cuckoo, cuckoo. He's gone loony in the head. Especially from WrestleMania 17 all the way through, especially in King of the Ring was essentially crazy Austin. A Backlash, he was a little bit. Judgment Day, a little bit more, but King of the Ring highlighted him being crazy because as we get to a week, 6 days later on SmackDown, May 24th, this again was another highlight moment because the first time in network television history for SmackDown, we were going to, and not only was it going to be historic because we're going to have a TLC match, a 4-team TLC match between the Hardys, the Dudleys, Edge and Christian, and little homecoming. And Edge and Christian, the Jericho and Benoit for the tag team championships, and in Anaheim, California. This was also another crazy match. Benoit, flying headbutt off the top rope through a table, missing Devon Dudley, gets carried to the back. So Jericho's wrestling the whole match by himself until later. I highly recommend you guys go and check that match out. That was a very awesome match, bar none. But what people, I don't think people realize is that during that match for Benoit, is that this match essentially was the starting point for him injuring his neck, and getting that ball rolling to what we're going to get to at King of the Ring. So Benoit got injured during that match, was carried to the back, didn't come out till later near the end. And I hope you guys go and watch that match. It was awesome. We're going to skip to back to June 11th, because not only we had that steel cage match where we had the moonsault, the top of the cage moonsault, the top of the cage flying headbutt, but this is where we had the announcement from Linda McMahon that suggested that Austin should defend the WWE Championship against both Jericho and Benoit in individual matches at King of the Ring. But of course, thinking ahead and was thinking that, it was, Commissioner Regal was not going to think that was fair for Austin to have 2 matches at King of the Ring. So, but Linda agrees with that, Commissioner Regal, that it wasn't going to be fair, and Linda agrees. Until Mick Foley points out that on the previous SmackDown, Stone Cold had said that he could beat Benoit and Jericho at the same time in one match. So Linda makes the main event at King of the Ring for the World Wrestling Federation Championship for Stone Cold Steve Austin taking on Benoit, taking on Jericho in a triple threat match. That moment and then when Austin eventually and William Regal makes the match. Now, as Linda and Mick Foley are leaving and Austin's coming, you could, Austin is starting to get that crazy, look in his eye. And when Mick tells him you're facing both Jericho and Benoit in the triple threat match, he goes off the deep end. And then, cusses and goes on a rampage. And McMahon eventually comes a little bit later, and he is getting his butt chewed out by Austin. That this is a conspiracy, 2-on-1, and I hold you responsible. And just as Vince is like, "Hey, let's calm down. Let's go talk in the office." It's like, don't you walk away from me. And then, right as he looks, it's like this anger in his eye, he just hugs Vince. It's like, just this crazy, I'm okay moment of the eyes and the expression, just this weird complexion with Austin going crazy. And that leads us into the cage match. Austin's already at ringside, and everything that happened in the steel cage match. So, of course, that's going to land us back at King of the Ring in the triple threat match with Stone Cold versus Benoit versus Jericho triple threat match. And on this night, we did see Benoit taking the back suplex off the top rope and breaking his neck. And so now he's going to be gone for a year because he missed WrestleMania. He wasn't coming back until around Judgment Day kind of area, but it wasn't at Judgment Day. So around that time when they had the draft between Flair and McMahon. So Benoit was gone. Stone Cold got injured at that match thanks to Booker T coming out and interfering with him being WCW and attacking the WWF champion, as Booker T was the world champion for WCW, and put Austin through the announcer's table and causing a back injury for Austin, for him to try to get better leading into Invasion and everything with that. So yeah, this was just a crazy night, and Austin had picked up the victory on Chris Jericho. This was King of the Ring was just a crazy night for Shane McMahon, for Kurt Angle, for Stone Cold, Benoit. As this was just career changing for a lot of these guys, and man, I think that that is it. We have reached the end of the night with this whole thing. Normally I would have my normal spiel with follow the Flex Network, but as you can see on the bottom of the ticker, we have that now. We could just post that, but of course I still got my yes, Blue Hoodie Matt. I know I have a couple things left I gotta promote, at least with you guys, but you guys are almost done. So, all right, you get that out of the way. All right, so as we're closing out the show for number 3, and I will get to hint time in a moment. I just gotta pull this up because I gotta get through the list of Snow. So Friday, I know that the Flex Network will be back online on the air with their Flex Finder, as we are in playoff mode. Actually, we're in playoff, maybe championship mode, so we're getting in the last hurrah in for you guys. With Matt, with Flex Shane, and Season Long Says. They will try to be here on Friday, I believe. Don't quote me, but that's normally when they're on Friday for their Flex Finder, for you to help you guys find those hidden talents, maybe to get you guys, that championship title, or avoid that last place, shaming in your fantasy leagues. Sunday will be their sit and start show with Roster Watch. Again, with Flex Matt, Flex Shane, and Season Long Says. They will be here back on Sunday for their show to get you guys up in early in the morning, to get you guys ready and to see who you should sit and who you should start on your fantasy teams. I know I want to say Wednesday, may not be this Wednesday, because I believe my boy Flex Mike is going to the AEW show. So it may be sometime this week. Maybe it may be Thursday, maybe Friday. I don't know, but we will keep you up to date on that when we have the show. But generally Wednesdays, they will be doing their week in review and preview show for NFL for the week. Tuesdays, you can find me here with the list, and we're getting to number 2. This is number 3. We just got done with 3. We're in the top 2. And boy, I've been saving, this is going to be the tough choice. So let's just get in. Let me finish this quickly before I get into hints. So Tuesdays is me. We're coming up on the end of the list show for now. Probably gonna wait till the new year to get back into the list spirit. So I'm gonna add an extra hour to my Thursday show. Um, for a little while, starting in the new year. After we get through the list show, we'll have a new list being built for you guys to go out and check. It will probably be some another go and check out list, top rivalry, but we're going to limit it to be in the 2000s. We're going to be in the 2001s, 2002s, 3s, 4s. When I get more narrowed down on the timeline, I will let you guys know as we get that list show back up and rolling in the new year. So, and then Thursdays, I will be here on the Flex Network for the week in review. What's been happening in wrestling. And again, sorry about not being on these last couple of weeks with both shows, but of course life happens and technical bugs and glitches, so that's life. I do know that on Thursday, actually this week is TLC week, so we'll probably be talking about TLC on Thursday, a lot what's going to be happening, what happened on Raw, what happened on SmackDown, get you guys ready for tables, ladders, and chairs as we end 2019's pay-per-view schedule and head into the new year. And there may be another show for you guys an extra holiday show for you guys. I'm thinking about it, but I may have something for you guys to where it's in the works. I will let you guys know. I'll probably let you know either next week what I'm thinking about, and something before we end the year and end the 2020s and head into the 2020s. So that will be something cool to end on the high note before we head into the new year, or the new decade of the 20s. So, as you can see on the bottom, you guys can follow us on Twitter, for the fantasy football for the fantasy football and football content at the Flex One, and for the wrestling portion at FlexNet_PW Elite. You can find us on Facebook, find us on YouTube, for all of our content. Hope you guys like and follow and subscribe. And of course, we're getting even more closer and closer to our giveaways for the football side, with the Russell Wilson signed mini helmet, the Zeke Elliott, or it was either Zeke or Dak cowboy helmet, and a very special item coming out of Flex Matt's personal collection for the Super Bowl drawing next, or coming up soon, or not really soon, but coming up very quickly. And then our Royal Rumble giveaway, our Royal Rumble contest that we're going to have for the month of January for the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. So I just want to get these last few things out before we end the show. And Blue Hoodie Maz, everything? Yes, that's everything. You could, thanks for plugging everything for fantasy football. All right, my lovely Blue Hoodie Matt Parrot says we're done. That's it. Show is over, so I'm gonna get out of here. I will might see you guys on, depending on what Flex, Mike, and Cowboy Cams, if they're gonna have their show, I will probably see you guys on there. But I know I will be here on Thursday for the week in review. Until then, this has been the Flex Network. This has been the Snowman. Oh, and you can follow me at my personal Twitter, down here, at AJS Dead Snow. I'm on Twitter. You can follow me there. But that is it for the show. This has been the Flux Network, and we will see you guys later.